Recently, Aurora Mayor Mike Coffman found himself in the headlines after he went undercover on the streets living for a week with our area's homeless population.
And while some are saying his actions were in good faith, a local official looking to learn more about those in need in our community, others are saying it was more or less just a publicity stunt.
Mayor Coffman is joining us this morning to answer about that and what his thoughts are when it comes to helping people into more permanent housing situations. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Mayor, this morning. And first, why did you decide to go there on the ground in bed with homeless camps?
Well, I think to have a better understanding of the issue, Aurora, unlike other communities in the metro area, or like other communities in the metro area, is having a growing a problem with homelessness. Mayor Hancock had reached out to me earlier and asked me to work with him on regional solutions with other mayors to try to address the issue of homelessness. And so this was kind of a lull in activity for our city, and so I thought it was a good time for me to do this to better understand the issue. And I think that I did learn a lot, and certainly have more to learn.
And Mayor Coffman, please be specific. What did you feel like you learned from your week there? Is it what you expected going in?
No, not at all. I think the big thing, what surprised me the most, was the difference between the homeless who go to shelters and access those for services, and the homeless that reside in the encampments. That they're mutually exclusive. I just assume that they'd kind of be fungible. Would somebody would move from one to the other, and they don't. I disagree based on my observations with what some of the advocates are saying, and I think I struck a raw nerve with them in terms of saying that those in the encampments don't go to the shelters because they don't feel safe, because they worry about getting their things stolen because of congregate living and the chance of getting COVID. I don't think any of that's accurate whatsoever. I do think that what I saw as a common denominator in the encampments was drug use, and namely crystal methamphetamine.
Mayor Coffman, speaking of drug use among homeless camps, we know that was a major key takeaway for you. As you just mentioned, many of the programs designed to help require participants to be sober. Do you think a reevaluation of the process should be factored into realistic scenarios in order for those people to get the assistance?
Sure, I think it's got to be a dynamic process in terms of trying new things, of innovating. But I think but one thing that is consistent is that somebody who is homeless has to want to change, and quite frankly, I didn't see that in these encampments.
Well, do you have policies, ideas right now that you could enact in Aurora or help other mayors enact?
Well, I have to look at Aurora specifically first before I look at anything else. And I think I was prepared to go forward with a homeless ban. I mean, with a camping ban in the city of Aurora. We don't have one. Denver has one. I've suspended moving that forward simply because I have to reevaluate that, because Aurora has a very modest problem. Denver has a very significant problem. And so is it because of if you have a camping ban, you have to meet so many legal tests that there's so many requirements that you actually aggravate the problem. I do believe that at the end of the day, there is capacity in the shelters to take care of those in encampments if they want to do that. But I agree with the policies of Denver in terms of sweeping them as necessary. I think there are CDC guidelines that says you don't move people during a pandemic. However, there are caveats to those guidelines that say if it's a public health problem, if it's a public safety problem, then they should be moved.
Mayor Coffman from Aurora taking time to get a hands-on approach to learn more about our homeless situation across the region. Thank you for joining us.